Ninjas Striding here. It's been a little bit, I've got a little bit of a cold, but besides that, all is well. I hope everything's good with you guys. I wanted to talk to you guys about what, in my opinion, is the greatest tokusatsu series ever. Well, so far, because, you know, they're improving all the time. I don't know if any of you guys know this, but most of my friends know I've been a lifelong fan of tokusatsu for my whole life. Wow, lifelong fan. Anyway, it's one of my, in some cases it's a guilty pleasure, but in the case of the series that I'm gonna share with you guys, I'm just like, I don't know, I'm super impressed with it, and I'm still impressed with it, and it just never seems to lose its flair. It's perfect. First off, I'm gonna let you know a little insight on the director of the series. The director's name is Kida Amemiya. I mean, he's an awesome director, easily in my top 10, and he's one of my favorite directors, period. He's one of the most prolific character designers, and he's got like such a insane style that separates him from all other Japanese artists, you know, be it in film or, you know, even on paper or, you know, canvas. He's directed a lot of movies that I saw early on before I really understood the concept of, you know, tokusatsu versus everything else. The first film that I saw of his was a film called Zeram. It's the live action version of Iria, Zeram the animation, and he did the concept art and character designs for that show, or that anime also, but he directed and did the character and costume designs for the live action show, and it was one of the first of this type of film that I had seen. That freaking thing is terrifying, and it's like almost sentient in comparison to the big dude. The next thing I saw was Kamen Rider Zo. Zo has the armor form you see here, and the awesome bioorganic you know, giant grasshopper form. That's, you know, what Kamen Rider has always been known for. All his movies have really cool animatronic, well, the early movies, I'm sorry, they have really cool animatronics, and they kind of stay away from, you know, CG. You know, every now and then, I mean, I know some of these movies are older, like Zo, I think, came out either early 90s, late 80s, but I know it's before CG, but like even in the new stuff, he only uses CG to do stuff that just couldn't be done in live action, to get camera angles, etc. The next movie I saw of his that just blew me away was Moon Over Tao. It's kind of slow, but the concepts in the movie, the characters, and even just the overall plot was awesome. I love the way that he picks, he casts actors and actresses that kind of feel unique to their roles, and they have a look that you could imagine if this was hand drawn. The main heroine in the movie, she was awesome. It's the same actress from Zeram, and the end monster pictured there is awesome. I mean, it's a big maquette, obviously, but it's just awesome to see that kind of stuff. The next movie I saw of his that I liked, it's more in the Metal Hero category. It's a Mechanical Violator Hokkaider, which is a remake of the, or a reimagining of the, I want to say 60s tokusatsu show of the same name. And I believe that this remake was what gave rise to the SIC figures from, you know, Bandai. Because everything that those figures embody are right here in this redesign. I mean, you saw that picture I showed you earlier, and then you see the new one, and it's like, holy shit, this is serious. I mean, his bike, he's got this crazy hog, and I don't know, it's just pure awesome. But the series that we were talking about, the reason why I'm even here right now talking to you guys, is GARO. GARO is the greatest tokusatsu series ever, period. At least, okay, I won't say ever, but so far. Everything about the series is so well done that, I mean, you really don't have too much to, you don't have much to want. It's not leaving you wanting much. It blends many aspects of several, you know, film tropes from all over the world, You have choreography that is a mixture of XMA and traditional Chambara films, and you know, old school kung fu movies. And then it also has the wire work that's similar to wuxia films. They owe a lot of this to one of their lead stunt people. His name is Mark Musashi. Really cool guy, awesome fighter. The dude is versed in Chinese martial arts. He's versed in capoeira. He's versed in a lot of grappling-based martial arts, you know, judo, jiu-jitsu, you know, aikido, etc. And he has an imagination. So, given the nature of this series, being that it's supernatural in nature, you get Garo doing things that just show how badass this character is with only, you know, a flick of the wrist or something simple. He really knows his martial arts. And that's something that you rarely see in tokusatsu series, like, consistently. You know, you had series here and there with characters here and there that did it. A lot in the 60s, the early Sentai series, there were a couple series like Five Man and Mask Man, to name a few, that had Kung Fu as the basis of their martial arts. And there were even characters who specialized, you know, like the Yellow Ranger, Five Yellow on Five Man. She was I think she was Chinese, yeah, and she did Kung Fu, and there were several episodes like the famous Let the Earth Be Drunk or Get the Earth Drunk episode. Excuse me. You know, it showcased her martial arts ability. One of the things that sets this show apart from everyone else is the series lead. The character's name is Saejima Koga, and he's played by Ryosei Konishi. The dude's a veteran of stage and theater, and he has this, he's pretty to some degree, but he also has a masculine look about him, which sets him apart from all the other tokusatsu heroes, especially in Kamen Rider, since this series is a little bit more mature, and Kamen Rider is supposed to be the more grown-up version of Super Sentai in some cases. You just get a more mature lead, and I like that. I dig that a lot. The series overall, though, the tone is really dark. One thing about this main character is that he's a badass, of course, and he's really hardcore and real serious. He almost never smiles, or there's like a few episodes where he shows a full range of emotion, and it's kind of awesome because you see that this guy's got issues because of the job that he has and the history that you kind of end up having when you pick this job or when you're given this calling. And you're watching this character come to grips with the fact that there are things that he might want because he's a human being, but he just can't necessarily get it or react to it the way that a normal person would, based on his background and his life experience and everything, you know, concerning that. But it's real interesting to watch. The series overall focuses on Garo and his, or Koga, who is Garo, which is the highest, it's a title given to the highest order of Makai Knight. Garo inherits this from his father. Now, early in the series, a woman named Kaoru gets the blood of a horror, which are the demons that the Makai Knights slay. She gets the blood of a horror on her, and the rule is that if anyone gets the blood of a horror on them, you got to consider him a horror and you cut him down. But for whatever reason, he wants to save her. And, you know, as the series goes on, you see why this is. The horrors themselves are actually pretty, you know, considering they're rubber suit monsters, they're really well done, and they range from completely, I don't know, fantastical in every aspect to just kind of disturbing, you know. They could be based on an object like a lighter or a knife or a gun or something like that, or they could just be pure demonic, and, you know, that's where Mr. Asemiya goes off with his character designs and stuff, you know, which is awesome because dude's designs are just, I'm sorry, Amemiya, his designs are amazing. And that's another thing that sets this series apart from everything else. I mean, this is Koga right here, and I mean, a guy in a white trench coat is usually kind of cheesy, and even on this is a toy. It's a real action hero version. I couldn't find any good pictures of the show itself, but there are details even missing from this, but you can see how intricate all the designs are, from just the crazy design on his shirt and on the back of his trench coat. There's lots of ornate designs all over the place. Mr. Amemiya even created almost like an alphabet, I want to say, of characters that represent things in this series, which is just amazing, because, I mean, how many artists do this? Characters like Kiba. Kiba's one of the villains in the series. It's the antithesis of GARO, but everything that is GARO is still there, and it's not a boring design. It's never boring. There's always things going on. There's so much to keep your eyes busy that you can't say that, you know, this guy doesn't know his craft. The series itself ran for, I want to say, 25 episodes. It had 3 movies that followed. The first movie was GARO, the Beast of the White Knight, and the Beast of the White Knight. That's where they introduce to you a third Makai Knight. In the series, you're only introduced to 2 Makai Knights, GARO and Zero. GARO uses the single blade, like a long sword, and Zero uses 2 short swords. Dan is who you're introduced to in the Beast of the White Knight. He uses a halberd, or a spear. Usually with Makai Knights, when they're in human form, their weapon is a smaller version of whatever it is they use, and when they transform and use their armor, their weapon becomes a little bit more fantastical, or more ornate, or more complicated in design, and it looks more powerful. So Dan's is a spear when he's in regular form, and it's a halberd when he transforms into his armor. So Dan is a pretty awesome character. His attitude is really cool. He's kind of eager to prove that he's got skills, because he's heard Koga's legend. You know, he knows who Koga is, he knows how badass the dude is, and he wants to prove that he's as cool as Koga, and also Zero. Which brings me to my issue. The movie is awesome. It's fairly slow, but when it builds, it gets better and better and better. But I have to get this out the way before I continue with all this stuff. Zero. If ever there was a character that tries too hard to be cool, it's him. He's just too emo and too... Something about him is just generic if you've grown up watching anime. And he doesn't come off as badass as he could, because his personality is too borrowed or too generic because you've seen it before. Everything from challenging the main character just because of some type of misunderstanding between him and, the main character, and wanting to impress the main character and wanting to surpass the main character, even though their jobs clearly state that they're on the same side. So, he's the one issue, and he has this, like, feminine, like, model look. And I know this is the trope in Japan. This is what people in Japan love. But it feels forced with this character, and it just doesn't come off as cool as it could be. But he does have some good moments. The first time that he fights GARO is actually pretty damn epic. Anyhow, like I was saying, the first movie was Beast of the White Knight. The second movie was Red Requiem, which was a 3D movie. It was pretty much I want to say, like, originally it was planned to be a retelling of the first couple episodes, but it ended up being a side story, kind of, that, kind of coincides with either the very end of the series, or it could have happened during the series. And it was pretty good. It was really slow. It wasn't as complex as far as the story goes as the series, and it was a little bit safe. And by safe, I mean it wasn't as out there and weird as the TV series usually is, but it was still cool. The choreography was nice. The presentation was upped substantially, and the designs, as usual, were pretty nice. It focused on a couple characters that you only got a glimpse of in the TV series, that helped the Makai Knights. They were Makai priests and priestesses, but it was pretty cool to see, you know, all those characters work together to stop a specific, you know, kind of big time horror. Anyway, that series, I guess it did, or that movie did really well. So it paved the way for another thing, another movie, if you will. It's kind of short. They called it a V cinema. I don't know what that is really, because, I mean, it's the first time I've ever watched such a thing. But it seemed almost like a televised, almost like a half play, half short film. And that was Kiba, the Dark Knight side story. And pretty much that story, it talks about or shows the rise and fall of the main villain in the story. I don't want to give too much away, but, you know, you get to see how he becomes you know, a Makai Knight, and how he becomes a villain, etc., etc., and how he interacted with other characters, and then eventually, you know, it ends with him just being in power. And I'm not going to tell you how he's in power, but you'll see. But it was pretty good. You got to see another Makai Knight. I can't remember what this guy's name was. I don't think they actually mentioned it, and if they did, I didn't get it because my copy didn't have subtitles, so I don't know. I'll have to look that up. But this Makai Knight was a wolf. He used double blades, just like Zero, and his element was, instead of fire like the others, it was electricity or lightning. So one thing I have to add about these side stories and movies is that the production value is so high in the TV series that when you watch the films, it's not really very high for them to go. So the series retains the quality and the aesthetics from the TV series as far as costumes go, but the effects get a boost, and even the way the film looks gets a boost. The quality of the film gets a boost, but overall, you don't lose anything in from the series to movie translation. The only thing that we lost in Red Requiem was the complexity in the story, and somehow the story just didn't seem as epic and as I don't know. It just didn't seem as valid as some of the episodes did. But I mean, that's my personal opinion. I still enjoyed it overall. It's still enjoyable if you dig the character, and it's still light years beyond some of the other series that are out there. And then, as if they were solely listening to me, you know, I go back and I watch the first series pretty often because, I mean, it's just awesome. But almost as if they were listening to me, we get GARO Makai Senki, which is like a whole nother chapter. It's pretty much like a second season or a third season, if you want to call it that, because I think the first GARO series was separated into 2 seasons. And so far the series is awesome. The series started, I want to say, in October. I think it was the 6th of October. And it's just quality. I mean, I couldn't ask for anything else. And in this series, we thought the choreography was good the first time around. In this series, the choreography is beyond top-notch. It's people take insane falls, and hits look super hard, and I don't know what else there is to tell you. It's a quality series. Complete quality series. The choreography is still handled with, what's his name? It's still handled by, I think primarily by Mark Musashi. And you can tell, because you're still seeing lots of Kung Fu and lots of Capoeira and lots of XMA overall. And the horrors this time, they're a little bit more savage than before. And unlike the previous series, you always get a little insight into what created the horror ahead of time before they interact with, you know, the rest of them. So you get backstory, then you get the introduction into the modern times, and then our hero gets to deal with them. And so far, I think there's 3 episodes out right now. It's quality. It's quality. I've seen episode 1 and 2. I'm about to watch 3, probably tonight or tomorrow, and I know it's going to be good regardless. So anyway, it's definitely, the series altogether has been consistently quality. I mean, there's so many things here that I always wondered why they weren't done yet in other tokusatsu, and they do it in this, and it's awesome. I mean, when people get hit, you get blood sometimes, depending on how hard it is. When Koga cuts people, or if Zero cuts people, there's blood. You know, horrors, they bleed too. It seems like no one is safe. You know, sometimes you see people getting ripped in half, and you're like, damn, I totally see why these people are, why these characters are feared. You know, some of the setups for most of these scenes and sequences are actually genuinely freaky and unsettling, and you actually feel like the directors and the writers actually said, you know, we're going to not just create a scary, you know, villain or scary monster for our hero to cut down. We're going to create a situation that presents the monster in a light that actually would make the average person a little bit more, you know, you'd be set, you'd be offset, you know, you'd be putting us in a, you'd be given that feeling that something, you'd be unsettled, put it like that. You'd be like, wow, this doesn't seem right. You get into the situation, you're like, holy shit. And when you're watching the series, some of the setup and the good direction takes away from the fact that a lot of the monsters are rubber suits, you know? It feels more like an actual monster because you see him creep up on someone and kill them. Or you see, you know, a girl, you know, try to seductively entice a man and then eat him alive, or cut off a limb and kill him and keep a couple limbs or something like that. I mean, you see freaky stuff happen, and it's plausible, you know, especially in this context. So honestly, if you dig martial arts, if you even lightly dig horror films, if you dig I don't know, if you're one of those Renfest type people, you dig swords and sorcery and things like that, we got you covered right here. Kita Amemiya is one of the best Japanese directors out there, period. And I think he deserves his props. And I think this show kind of showcases how good of a director, how good of a character designer, because he has a team also, but how good he is at getting all this, you know, together and giving you a product that stands on its own and stands apart from all the rest of the craziness that's out there. And I'm not saying everything sucks, you know. There's a lot of good stuff out there too, but these days it's limited. Seems like, especially in tokusatsu, you got shit like Fours. Kamen Rider Fours. That's one of the dumbest series I've ever seen. Dumbest character design, one of the dumbest, it's just stupid. Or 000 or 000 Os, whatever they want to tell you his name is. You know, I can read and I can clearly see that doesn't say Os. You know, Os is OSU, not OOO. But, you know, all that aside, this, they don't insult your intelligence. Put it like that. This is actually, you know, a well done series that is aware of the audience. It's mature, and it's not mature in a generic kind of format where it's just, you know, constantly, you know, lightweight softcore hentai. No, it's mature in all the subject matter, and they do a good job of being mature without insulting the intelligence of the audience and without dipping into the generic fan service pool. So if you dig something that will, you know, at some points keep you guessing, and something that will give you that fantasy fix and that supernatural fix that you need, along while giving you awesome designs and, you know, awesome characters and awesome costumes, then this is for you. And in my opinion, it's one of the greatest tokusatsu series ever, and thus far, I guess I should say. And Makai Senki is set to take it to the next level, and I hope it actually does. So anyway, this is just a quick, you know, thoughts type video. I hope you dug it. As usual, check out the website, and I will see you guys later. All right, peace, people.